What if changing your life isn't about finding more motivation, but about changing what you actually see every single day? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into how you can master your habits without completely burning out your motivation. We're pulling directly from a really fundamental concept, the first law of behavior change. If you've ever felt like building good habits is just this endless, uphill battle against your own willpower, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to visually unpack this source material and show you exactly how to rewire your daily routines.
We almost always blame ourselves when our habits fail, right? We sit there and think, man, if I just tried harder, or if I just had a little more discipline. But research tells us a completely different story. The real culprit behind our failed habits usually isn't a lack of internal drive at all. Actually, it's usually hidden right in plain sight, just sitting there in our immediate surroundings.
And that brings us to a seriously powerful concept. Success begins with what you see every day. This is a massive shift in perspective. It means we need to stop agonizing over our internal motivation and start, actively optimizing our external world. The visual cues around you right now, they're secretly pulling the strings of your behavior. And once we understand this, it's a real game changer. Everything changes.
So here is our step-by-step masterclass. We'll start off with the Habit Scorecard, then move into creating implementation intentions, learn the habit stacking formula, explore designing your environment, and finally shift to systems over willpower.
All right, Section 1. Awareness, the Habit Scorecard. Moving from the unconscious to the conscious. Before we can build any new, positive routines, we absolutely have to wake up to the ones that are already running on autopilot. Think about it. Most of our daily behaviors, from the second we wake up to the minute we go to sleep, are completely unconscious, and we can't change what we don't even notice. To fix this, the source material introduces the Habit Scorecard. It uses this point-and-call system, which is actually borrowed from a safety protocol used by paramedics and Japanese railway operators. They literally point at physical objects and call out their status to prevent accidents. For our personal lives, you just write down everything you do in a day and call it out. It makes the invisible habits totally visible.
Let's look at a quick example of what your morning scorecard might look like. You list your actions and give them a quick rating. So waking up and turning off the alarm, those are neutral, just an equal sign. Making a nice cup of tea might be a positive, a plus, but grabbing and checking your phone immediately, yeah, that might be a negative. By grading your routine like this, you pinpoint the exact split-second moments where a bad habit sneaks in. You just ask yourself, does this action cast a vote for the person I want to be? Okay, once we're aware of our baseline habits through the scorecard, we can finally deploy the first law of behavior change to our advantage. And that law is incredibly simple. Make it obvious. If you want a habit to become a big part of your life, you literally have to make the cue to do it a big, undeniable part of your environment.
Moving on to Section 2, creating implementation intentions, the power of planning.
So why do we need this? Well, vague goals like, I want to work out more or I want to eat healthier, they usually fail. Why? Because they leave action entirely up to chance. You're basically just hoping you'll magically feel motivated at exactly the right moment. The implementation intention formula is shockingly simple, but wow, is it highly effective. It goes like this. When situation X arises, I will perform response Y. By stating exactly when and where you'll act, you anchor your new habit to a specific time and location. You completely remove the need for any spontaneous motivation. You don't have to think, you just follow the plan.
To show you just how powerful this simple sentence can be, let's look at a 2001 British study. Researchers wanted to help people build exercise habits. They had a control group, a motivation group that read all about heart health, and a third group. Now, this third group simply filled out that exact sentence. During the next week, I will partake in vigorous exercise on a specific day, at a specific time, in a specific place. Now get this, while the first two groups hovered around a 35 to 38% success rate, an absolutely staggering 91% of the people who filled out that simple sentence exercised at least once per week. That's more than double the normal rate, just by making a concrete plan.
Section 3. The Habit Stacking Formula. Building on Momentum.
Human behavior naturally works like falling dominoes. You go to the bathroom, which reminds you to wash your hands, which reminds you the towels are dirty, so you go to the laundry. No behavior happens in isolation. So the easiest way to start a new habit is to just piggyback it onto the momentum of an old one. This uses a specific formula originally created by BJ Fogg. After my current habit, I will do my new habit. So instead of pairing your new habit with a random time on the clock, you pair it with something you already do every single day without fail. Pouring your morning coffee, brushing your teeth, closing your front door.
You can start to see how these chains link up. Your first habit seamlessly becomes the cue for your second habit, which then triggers a third. For instance, the very act of taking off your work shoes becomes the automatic cue to immediately put on your exercise clothes. You're tying your desired behavior to something you've already mastered, and that creates this natural, effortless chain reaction to productivity.
To make these new habits truly foolproof, we really have to embrace a fundamental truth. Your environment shapes your behavior. We love to think our habits are purely an expression of our unique personalities, but actually, you're being subtly directed by the spaces around you all the time. Think about it. In a church, you automatically whisper. On a dark street, you naturally act more guarded. Context is king.
Section 4. Designing your environment. Become the architect of your life.
Most people live their entire lives in a world that someone else created for them. They sit where the desk was placed, they watch the TV where it was mounted, but we are going to learn how to redesign your surroundings to actively prime you for success. Way back in 1936, psychologist Kurt Lewin proposed this fascinating equation. Behavior is a function of the person and their environment. This equation essentially proves mathematically that you do not have to be a victim of your context. Vision is the most powerful of all human sensory abilities. Because visual cues are the greatest catalyst of behavior, changing what you see literally changes what you do.
The biggest takeaway here is that small cues create big changes. To give you a slightly surprising but very real example from the source material, the Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam once installed these tiny little stickers that looked like flies inside their urinals. Yep, you heard that right. Men naturally aimed at the bug, and this tiny visual cue significantly reduced spillage, cutting their bathroom cleaning costs by 8% a year. That is the crazy power of a subtle visual cue. Let's look at how you can apply this at home.
Want to read more? Try putting a book right on your pillow in the morning. If you want to drink more water, place a full water bottle directly on your desk. Want to exercise? Lay your workout clothes out the night before. And honestly, just as importantly, if you want to focus, hide your phone in another room. By setting these specific cues out, doing the right thing becomes the absolute easiest, most obvious option.
All of this builds to an ultimate paradigm shift in how we approach lasting personal growth. Design your systems, not your willpower. It's incredibly freeing when you finally realize you don't have to be some superhero of self-discipline to be productive. You just need to be a clever designer of your daily systems.
Section 5. Systems over willpower. The secret to self-control.
You have to stop trying to forcefully muscle yourself into being disciplined. Trust me, that never lasts. Instead, your goal should be to create an ecosystem in your home and workspace where good habits just emerge naturally. There's a really stark contrast here. Relying on willpower is this constant internal struggle. It's exhausting, and it leaves your actions entirely up to chance and whatever mood you happen to be in that day. But designing your system, that relies on external cues. It's highly sustainable, and it makes your desired action feel totally automatic. When the visual triggers that spark a good habit are obvious and literally right in front of you, you no longer have to fight yourself to make the right decision.